By 1944, the German military had transformed Europe's northern coastline into a fortress. From Norway to France, the Atlantic Wall was built to stop any Allied invasion before it could begin. On D-Day, the largest amphibious assault in human history was launched against the coast of Normandy. Thousands of ships, aircraft, and soldiers moved toward France. At Omaha Beach, that invasion faced its first and most brutal test. June 1944. Normandy, Omaha Beach. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Edward J. Sutherland, Jr., United States Army. I was the commanding officer of the 741st Tank Battalion. My unit was assigned to support the first wave of the landing at Omaha Beach. On paper, the operation was carefully coordinated. In reality, it was a system pushed beyond its limits. For years, the Germans had fortified the coast with concrete bunkers, artillery positions, obstacles, and interlocking fields of fire. From Norway to the Bay of Biscay, the defenses were designed to repel an invasion at the shoreline. The Allies knew an assault was coming, but not where. After extensive planning, Normandy was chosen. Our mission was straightforward: support the infantry, suppress German defenses, and open exits off the beach. But war does not begin when the timetable says it does. War begins when the first assumption fails. Before any landing craft reached shore, the plan depended on overwhelming firepower. Allied aircraft and naval guns were tasked with destroying German bunkers, artillery, and observation posts along Omaha Beach. On paper, the bombardment was meant to neutralize resistance before the first troops landed. In reality, much of it missed. Cloud cover disrupted aerial bombing. Naval fire overshot or failed to penetrate reinforced positions. Many German defenders remained underground, waiting. When the guns fell silent, the defenses were still intact. The first wave landed behind schedule. Strong currents pushed landing craft off course. Units landed in the wrong sectors and became mixed together. Tanks were launched too far from shore. Several sank in rough seas. Those that survived arrived late and isolated. At that moment, the original plan ceased to exist. Command and control collapsed. Radios failed. Small units were left on their own. German machine guns, mortars, and artillery swept the beach. Infantry had nowhere to go. The sand offered no protection. Casualties mounted within minutes. This was not maneuver warfare. It was survival. Men were pinned behind obstacles, bodies, and shallow craters. Moving forward meant exposure. Staying still meant the same. This phase cemented Omaha Beach's reputation. The beach itself was a maze of obstacles: mines, steel hedgehogs, wooden stakes, and barbed wire. The exits off the beach were heavily defended. With armor limited and coordination broken, progress depended on improvisation. Small groups began clearing obstacles under fire. Tanks that made it ashore targeted individual bunkers and firing points. There was no grand advance, only local breakthroughs, one position at a time. The turning point came when infantry units began reaching the bluffs. German defenses were strong facing the sea, but weaker from behind. Once the high ground was contested, the logic of the defense collapsed. Bunkers lost observation. Fire became disorganized. German units began to withdraw or surrender. By late afternoon, control of key terrain stabilized the beachhead. Omaha was no longer a killing ground. It was a foothold. Omaha was only one part of a much larger operation. Allied forces landed simultaneously on 5 beaches. To the west, American troops came ashore at Utah Beach. To the east, British and Canadian forces landed at Gold, Juno, and Sword. Resistance varied. Some beaches were secured with fewer losses. Others, like Omaha, absorbed the full weight of German fortifications. Together, the landings stretched German defenses along the entire coast. No single counterattack could stop them all. German armored reserves were critical to defeating the invasion, but they were already weakened. Allied air power had spent weeks attacking rail lines, bridges, fuel depots, and vehicle columns. Many German tank units were delayed, damaged, or scattered. Others lacked fuel or coordination. This prevented a large-scale armored counteroffensive during the crucial first days. Instead of a decisive strike, the Germans were forced into fragmented local responses. Once the beachheads were secured, Allied objectives diverged. American forces pushed west and north toward the port of Cherbourg. A deep-water harbor was essential to sustain the invasion. British and Canadian forces advanced east and south toward Caen. Pre-invasion bombing had damaged German infrastructure, but had not eliminated the Atlantic Wall. Pockets of fortified resistance remained throughout Normandy. Each bunker, trench line, and artillery position had to be reduced individually. The invasion became a campaign of attrition. Want to command these steel beasts yourself? Try World of Tanks for free. The link is in the description. It directly supports the channel. As Allied forces approached Cherbourg, German troops withdrew into the city and fortified its defenses. The port was heavily protected. Our advance was deliberate, cutting supply lines, isolating strong points, and tightening the encirclement. The fall of Cherbourg was not a sudden assault. It was a siege. When the city finally fell, German forces sabotaged the harbor before surrendering. The port was captured, but it would take weeks to restore full operations. Even so, its loss marked a strategic turning point. With Cherbourg secured, the Allied invasion became logistically stable. That stability made Operation Cobra possible. In late July 1944, concentrated Allied air power shattered the remaining German defensive line in western Normandy. Already weakened units could not regroup. Hitler's refusal to authorize withdrawals, combined with rigid control over armored reserves, prevented any coordinated response. After Cobra, German defenses collapsed. The fighting shifted from containment to retreat. What began on Omaha Beach ended with a breakthrough into France.